Hi everybody, we're going to be taking the 7th grade notes for lesson 2.2. The title of this lesson is Adding Rational Numbers, and we're only going to be dealing with the fractions. There are two things that you need to remember from the 6th grade standards about fractions earlier standards is the first one is you're going to follow the addition rules for integers, and we're going to be applying that to fractions. Also, you need to make sure that you are adding or subtracting using improper fractions and common denominators. So even though it is possible to go ahead and do it as mixed numbers, we're going to encourage you to use improper fractions, and then you have to be using common denominators. In the first example, we have negative 7/8 plus 1/4. We're going to find a common denominator of 8s. Negative 7/8 plus 2/8 is the exact same thing as negative 7/8 plus 1/4 because 1/4 and 2/8 are equivalent. And then I have negative 7/8 plus 2/8. I have a positive and a negative that I'm adding, so therefore I have 0 pairs. When I have 0 pairs, I subtract. 7 minus 2 is 5, and then my units is the 8s. Because you have more negatives than positives, my answer is negative. In example 2, all right, I'm going to change both of those to improper fractions. I have negative 19 thirds plus 20 thirds. As you notice with the negative can go in front, or it really goes with the 19. So the whole value is negative. So when I look to see if I add or subtract, I have 0 pairs, so I'm going to be subtracting. 20 minus 19 is 1. I have more positives, so my answer is positive. So I found a common denominator, and here I did improper fractions. With both of them, I go ahead and I use the addition integer rules to see if I add or subtract, if there's 0 pairs or not, and then I figure out if it's positive or negative based on which you have more of. In number 3, I don't have common denominators and it's an improper fraction. So I'm going to rewrite negative 5/8, that's 6, 7, 8, and it's negative 8 thirds. I need a common denominator of 24. Negative 5/8, 8 times 3 is 24, so 5 times 3 is 15. And then 3 times 8 is 24, and 8 times 8 is 64. Now, in this problem, I have 2 negatives. Because I have 2 negatives, I have no 0 pairs, so I'm simply going to add. 15 and 64 is 79. Okay. As I have negative 79 24ths, I could totally leave it like this, and that is totally simplified, and I'm okay with that. Because there were no 0 pairs, I simply added, but I made sure that I had a common denominator and an improper fraction. For this problem, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite as improper fractions. 6/5 plus negative 12/13, negative 13/6. I need a common denominator. I'm going to pick 30. 5 times 6 is 30, so 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5 is 30, so 13 times 5 is 65. Now, because I have 1 positive and 1 negative, I actually have to subtract because I have 0 pairs. If this is something you cannot subtract in your head, do over here, 65 minus 36. And I get 29 30ths. Because there were 0 pairs, I subtracted. It's negative because I have more negatives. So when we do adding rational numbers and there's fractions, please remember that you need to follow the addition rules for integers. You're going to go ahead and change all your mixed numbers to improper fractions, and you must use common denominators. Thanks. Have a good one.